But these companies have unbelievable influence. And they are showing that they want to use that influence to socially engineer society. And they see nothing wrong with it because they have redefined terms. Google's definition of fairness appears to be what anybody else would consider to be the definition of unfairness. Google's definition of fairness takes into account the history of marginalized and oppressed folks, and attempts to benefit those groups over others by deplatforming, deboosting, and generally making it harder to find the content that might be, in Google's opinion, hostile or negative to these marginalized groups. So, what we have here is algorithms, machine learning, and an active attempt on Google's behalf to, well, help one group of people, or several, based upon their history, their skin color, their sexuality, their gender, and to disincentivize another based upon their political opinions, their outwards appearance. And that's in the best case scenario. In the worst case, outright deplatform, remove, smear, or otherwise hurt or downright unperson some people, like we saw with Alex Jones, for example. And they use algorithms to do this, the machine learning. They are teaching an AI their definition of fairness, and have it look for what they consider to be unfair, and therefore attempt to censor it or to give their own view after the video. For example, in the case of YouTube, after you've watched a video by, for example, Tim Pool, which Google considers to be right-wing, which is an interesting definition, to put it mildly, then it will notice that. It will react to those videos. It will attempt to ensure that they do not get the circulation that they would otherwise have. They're not going to bring it up, they're not going to show it, they're not going to boost it, and they might even lead you to other sources afterwards. The example they gave in the video had to do with search terms in Google's search engine, and the example they gave were two. One was how they try to push an agenda through the search term. So if you type into Google men can, which I've independently verified just by trying it on Google myself, you get returns like men can get pregnant, men can have babies, men can have periods, that kind of stuff. I don't think there's really all that many people who's just like, Google, can men become pregnant? Like, it doesn't sound like a reasonable everyday question. But if you type in, women can vote. No shit. Women can do anything. Women can fly. Okay, I'm seeing a slight difference between these two, Google. It appears as if you have a bit of a agenda here, doesn't it? And they also showed another example where they typed in Hillary Clinton's emails. Does not autocomplete. No results. Odd. Donald Trump's emails. Autocompletes. Okay. We are looking at a very clear-cut agenda here. And the person in the Project Veritas video states as much. A Google employee states that they are working to prevent another Trump situation, and that they are getting ready for 2020. Indeed, they started getting ready for 2020 in 2016. They are literally attempting to influence the outcome of a democratic election via social engineering, by flat out lying to you, by presenting alternative truths, by redefining fairness, by changing the literal definition of words. And yeah, this is Google. Once again, a hugely powerful and influential organization that's doing this. And right now, with Facebook also allying with several other mega corporations to create their own goddamn currency, it has never been more important that this shit is brought into the light, and something needs to be done. Now, there is the proposed bill that will remove their protection under the Safe Harbor Act, unless they actually act neutrally. This means that instead of being held unaccountable for what is done on their platform, they will be held legally accountable for everything on their platform if the bill passes, and they cannot prove that they are a neutral platform. This, honestly, I think is the only solution. The Google woman in the video again says again, yeah, we've been called in front of, courts, hearings, all kinds of stuff. We don't even bother showing up anymore because they're just going to attack us, and we are not going to change our ideas. We are dead set on socially engineering society. We are dead set on attempting to influence elections as much as we can. We see nothing wrong with this. We see it as a moral imperative, and we will not stop. Okay, fine. If the companies won't stop, if they will continue to do this heinous, immoral shit, then fuck it. The government will literally have to step in to stop censorship. I am getting the clown world meme more and more, honestly. The government is now our best hope against censorship. The government is now our best protection for freedom and freedom of speech. What an interesting world in which we live. What an absolutely fascinating situation we find ourselves in. And again, there needs to be action. Donald Trump needs to make this basically his platform in the election. These corporations are clearly getting way out of hand. I am not yet quite at the point where I would like to argue for breaking them up, because I do not think as of yet they constitute enough of a monopoly to require quite so severe an action. But they do need to be regulated. Legislation needs to be created to rein in these ridiculous excesses. Having Google attempting knowingly, willingly, and thinking it's the right thing to do, to influence the democratic process, there can be no defense for that. There genuinely cannot. Even if you think Trump is the literal reincarnation of Hitler, if you think he's going to be the worst thing in the history of ever, this does not work. Because this is a tool that will be used against more than Trump. I refuse to believe that Google's like, oh yes, now we're going to socially engineer society, but we'll stop after we defeat Cheeto Hitler. After the Trump has been ousted from the White House, then we'll stop. Then we'll be neutral again. Yeah, we're only doing it now. This isn't a systemic thing that's going to continue. No. We're going to give up this power, totally. It's absurd, and this needs to have as much reach as possible. I mean, hell, if Google is to the point where they literally just won't show up to hearings, even if they refuse to be interviewed on this, if they cannot even be trusted to react, if there is no outward pressure that can affect them, then they are going to have to be affected by this regulations. And if that doesn't work, then we might have to break them up, which is, I mean, it's unfortunate, but at some point, there is too much power in too few hands, and too few unaccountable hands. Because at the end of the day, one should be careful how much you trust the government, obviously. And legislation and, regulations, they breed like bunny rabbits. The government tends to feed off itself and create reasons for itself to spread and further, worm itself into everything. This is a real thing. It is a problem. It is the reason why we see such incredible governmental bloat in so many areas, and why we are seeing economies in Europe in particular, and America too, definitely, straining under the weight of government initiatives. But at the very least, the government is accountable. You can vote in a democracy. You can't vote for mega corporations. You can't vote to make Google change its minds. And as we can see now, public pressure appears to be doing diddly dick shit nothing. They know that we don't like this. In fact, again, the lady in the video, the Veritas video, says, oh, we thought our definition of fairness would be really obvious. Everybody would agree with this, and then nobody did. Well, shit. Could it be we that are wrong? No. Never. Absolutely not. It is everybody else, and it is our duty to change society because of it. These are zealots. These people will not change their mind. They don't give a shit. We can hit them in the wallet all we want, but it's clearly not working. It is clearly not working. And again, at the end of the day, right now, as ridiculous as it sounds, we have more influence with the government than we do these corporations. And so this literally becomes a question of the lesser of two evils. We need to rein in one so that we can rein in the other. Because if the one gets away with this, if Google gets away with this and is allowed to continue to socially engineer society and blatantly attempt to affect the outcomes of the democratic process, do you think that the people they get into office will have a problem with that? Do you think they, the prime beneficiaries of this, will think, oh, this is terrible, we can't have any of this, we need to go out against this? Or do you think that maybe, just maybe, the Democrats, and honestly, any political party that was the primary beneficiary of this, might instead think, I mean, we are correct. We are the ones in the right, after all, and so, whilst these tactics are a wee bit shady, we know what's best. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have quite that much faith in, I was about to say humans, but let's actually just say politicians, yeah? I feel that is more accurate, somewhat. And of course, then is also, I mean, this is, the wider implication of this is just astounding, isn't it? And if nothing is done, they're going to feel even more brazen about it. Consider this to be step one. Currently, they are trying to hide this. This is something they are trying to do in secret. And Project Veritas is revealing this. They are exposing them. And hopefully, sunlight will prove to be the best disinfectant. But if it doesn't, if they get away with this, or, God help us, if certain elements support this, what do you think is step two? Shit. I can hardly even imagine the step two of this. First, we shall socially engineer society, and then we shall rig an election. What shall we do next? I'll leave you to think on that one. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and once again, go watch the Project Veritas video, please. I'll literally beg of you. America, again, like I said, this is going to be less and less of a joke, unfortunately, but America needs to save us, apparently, from Google. Granted, Google is also a certain product of America, so, you know, it's a bit 50-50. Have a good day.